Hi there. As we start a new month, I'm going to be talking about a new theme, but still following that focus of how we can scale and how we can get freedom of choice. But this month, we're going to go right back to basics and we're going to look at the generation of cash and revenue. See you in a moment. Hi, I'm Simon from Sterling Business Coaching, and you will have heard me for quite some time talk about the saying that, cash is king. Net profit is everything that we need in business to really drive us and grow us forward. And it is important. It is one of the most vital things that we have to think about. But unless we're generating a flow of cash, one, we don't have a business, and two, we can't scale our business. Because one of the things that happens when we try and either grow or scale our business or make any changes in our business, this black hole appears which just sucks in all the cash. And what we think are great reserves become very diminished as we move our business forward, as we grow, as we scale, as we make those choices of what we do next to move our business forward. So we have to be aware all the time that as we move forward in our business, sometimes we have to go back to the very basic principle of cash flow is what is needed to help fund our growth, our changes, and our scale. So as we look at moving from where we are to scaling forward, we've got to look at the costs. We've got to look at our budgets. We've got to know what's coming in and what's going out. We need to budget for what might be going out. We might have increases in staff. We might have assets that we've got to purchase. We might need new premises. There might be lots of other things that we have got to think about. So before we leap, as the goldfish is doing out of the bowl there, and we head towards that new, bigger environment that we're wanting to get into, we've got to examine where we are. We've got to look at our budgets. We've got to look at our numbers, and we've got to look at really where our money is going to be spent and where money can be saved, and make really good decisions about our next steps forward. And of course, as we've talked about before, always go back to our plans as well. Now, the thing we have to bear in mind as well is in our businesses, very often we are leaking money. Okay, as a tap in the center there, very often we have those things that are just leaking small amounts that are insignificant on their own, but if we're leaking a steady flow of cash, whether it's small or whether it's large, we need to turn that tap off. We need to get rid of that drip. We need to get rid of that leak, and we need to stop the hemorrhaging of any money that's going out there, because we know that growth is going to suck all the cash out of our business. So we've got to make sure we're getting as much knowledge about the cash flow in our business, and that we're keeping as much of the cash in the business as we can. Now, of course, we've got things that we've got to spend money on, but it's the leakages that we don't really need to spend money on, or that are insignificant and perhaps we can turn off even for a while whilst we go through the next stage of growth. That's why I showed the tap, the faucet there, because sometimes we can turn the flow down and sometimes we can turn the flow up. So we've got to really look at how much cash we need to retain in our business. And then we've got to look at that, what is below me here, that business pyramid of priorities. And Mike Michalowicz mentions this in his book, the Fix This Next book. of which I'm an advisor. If you want to take the Fix This Next assessment, just let me know. But the bottom part of that pyramid is that absolutely essential foundation of creation of cash. We need sales. We need people to be paying us. We need people to be paying us promptly. We don't want people extending their terms and paying us late, because we need to keep the cash flowing, and we need a regular cash flow wherever possibly we can. Now, I know some of you watching this might be saying, well, that's one of the most difficult things. When people pay us late, they pay us late, and we have to work around that if we don't want to lose them as a client. But we need to make sure we're doing a cash flow forecast, a revenue forecast, not just historically at where the money has gone in the accounts and the profit and loss or in the balance sheet, but we need to forecast forward to see when the money is likely to come in, when the money is likely to go out. So we need to make sure that we've got a sales forecast and a cash flow forecast. So we need to work on these things as we go through, because if we don't get the foundation right of revenue, then of course we're not going to be able to fund the growth. So I'm going to make one quick caveat here a little bit, and I'll just go back to my slide here. I said at the beginning, profit in many of my videos before has been one of the essential things that I've mentioned, and it absolutely is. So what I'm not saying is that you should generate sales and revenue without generating profit. So wherever you can, increase your cash flow, increase your revenue, but still maintain profits. Now, sometimes we have to make choices and give discounts to get payments in on time or early. And that's okay for some businesses, but we always want to maintain this tussle between cash coming in revenue and making sure we're making profit on the revenue that we're generating. Because if we don't, we're going to come to that cliff edge really quickly, and that wormhole that's sucking all the cash in is going to be a lot harder and a lot stronger, and it's going to pull the business down. So we've got to make sure that we generate enough sales, enough cash flow to be able to break that stranglehold, that chain of cash flow in our business. Because if we want to make choice, if we want to scale, then we've got to make sure it's not cash that is holding us back. And unfortunately, generating profit is great, but if your cash flow still isn't there, you're still going to feel restricted by the inability to use cash to fund your growth, to fund the changes in your business. So let's break that chain. Let's break that whole sort of loop that many businesses are in, where cash and lack of cash is the thing that is holding their decisions back, it's holding their growth back, or it's holding their scalability back, because nothing can be done unless we've got the investment that we need into our growth and into our scale. So during the week ahead, really think about that. Think about what you can do to break that stranglehold on your business of cash. And of course, take some actions. Make sure that you're looking at your figures. You're seeing where money is coming in, where money is going out historically in your accounts. Do a cash flow forecast. Do a sales forecast. And try to build up a cash flow deposit, if you like, repository of money in the business, that knowing what you're going to be spending the money on to grow and to scale, that you're starting to build the reserve put aside to make sure that you can fund that growth. They're the things that I want you to think about in the week ahead and in the month ahead, as we continue through October on this theme of revenue and cash flow to help us grow our businesses and make better business decisions. So what can you do for me? You can like and share this post. this video wherever you're seeing it. And of course, you've been seeing it go across your screens. If you want to talk about anything cash flow wise, if you want to look at where you are on that business priority pyramid, schedule a Fix This Next assessment and schedule a chat with me, just go to timewithsimon.com. It's going across the screen now. I'd love to have a 30-minute chat. No heavy sales pitch guaranteed. I just want to give you 30 minutes of value. That's all for now. I look forward to seeing you all on the posts in the week ahead and in the rest of the month as we work through this topic of October. Have a great day, have a great week, and start working on that cash flow. Get that cash flowing in and keep more of it in those reserves. Bye for now.